Hey, Spider Nation, welcome back to another episode of Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow. I'm Jonathan, and tonight I'm being joined by James. What's going on, James?
Not much. Just having a normal Friday night here, and yeah, not really much to say tonight.
Yeah, before we even get started with this show, there is one thing we need to address, and that is the horrible events that are taking place in Paris tonight. Our thoughts and our condolences are going out to all those who are affected. I mean, it's just an awful tragedy. It literally has happened hours before this broadcast, and I gotta say I don't even know how to react to it, to be honest with you. But I think if we didn't address it on this show, it'd be a bit disrespectful.
This is not going to turn into, okay, not to sound disrespectful or anything, but it's not going to turn into a sad kind of downer. We're still going to have the fun. We're going to have the laugh. We're going to have the quips. We're going to have the riffing comic book panels like we always do. We're going to continue the laughter because there might be someone from Paris for all we know who's clicking on this video, who's tuning into us and saying, okay, we'll be the one thing that will give them happiness tomorrow morning or live or whatever it is. So we're still going to be the same old happy joy thing, but we can't go on without saying first our thoughts in Paris go out to everybody, not just in Paris, but in France, but anybody who's affected by any terrorist. Because like Obama said tonight, this wasn't just an attack on Paris or France or Europe or even the whole planet. This is an attack on every bit and ounce of humanity in the galaxy.
Absolutely. I think our president is completely on point with that. So, yeah, I'll echo what James said, and I'll echo what President Obama said about just we all need to stick together tonight. We're not all that different.
One of the top trending topics in the world on Twitter is, I can't pronounce the word because I failed French class in middle school and I'm not going to try. But the translation comes out to like open your doors, and it's the French word for that because I guess French people are still letting refugees in. Yeah, they're not closing their door. The borders around the country might be closed and blocked off, but inside the country themselves, people are opening their doors to let people in, which is similar to what happened with 9/11. How you hear stories of people just like store owners or whatever, just grabbing people off the street as the cloud came at them. It's scary and sad how much this parallels 9/11. And I think we should just talk this real quick. There are some people on the internet that are saying that this is karma or France had it coming for not joining in on the war in Iraq or the war on terror 10 years ago, and now they're getting it. No, shut up. No country deserves this. No country does this freaking karma. We went through this. Let's be humble and say, hey, we went through the same thing they did, so we understand the fear and the terror and just everything that goes into when something like this happens to you.
And then I got to say, I mean, we're going to be talking about some fictional superheroes tonight, but on this podcast with these comic books. But I think we got to send our highest accolades and commendations to the real superheroes of tonight. The people of Paris, people of France, police officers, everyone who helped with the situation. I think they're the real heroes tonight. I don't think there's any denying that. But yeah, we will get on to we'll move away from that. I wanted to tackle that because it was something that's been weighing on both of our minds really tonight, and it's something that's really affected the world tonight. And it's not something.
I mean, you got me, an American, talking about this online because some people know I got friends who are from Taiwan and from Japan and from South Korea and stuff like that, and they're all talking about it too. This is not just affecting us Americans because we went through it, or UK because they went through it when they had the London bombings. This is something that's like Obama said. This is affecting everybody. Everybody's talking about this. It doesn't matter if you're Canada, United States, France, Russia, both North and South Korea, China, Japan. This affects everybody anytime a terrorist attack happens, because terrorists aren't attacking a country, they're attacking ways of life.
Absolutely. And it's not good, but I don't even know. I don't even know. So we wanted to address that because it is something that's on everybody's mind. So we will move off of that. Tonight we are going to be talking about some Spider-Man comics. because this is a Spider-Man podcast, and so we're gonna be sticking to our usual routine. First off, James, besides that, anything else happened to you this week? Anything of interest? Anything of note?
We made banana bread in Culinary One. Byron, in my short order / deli class, when we were at the cashiers, wouldn't stop singing Eye of the Tiger and Final Countdown, but he's singing them off key and he doesn't know the lyrics. So he's on the key. It's the final countdown. It's the final countdown. And then Eye of the Tiger gets going, Eye of the Tiger. And then Robin, who's one of our teachers, came up to him and going, what the hell are you doing? You're probably scaring away customers. And he says, I'm practicing my voice for when I try for American Idol. And you're not seeing this on the audio podcast, but this is her legit reaction of when he said, I'm tuning up my voice for my American Idol tryout.
They do know that American Idol is only going on for one more season, right?
Hey, but he's still trying out for that season. You got to give him credit.
Oh, yeah. I'll look forward to seeing him on the Bad Auditions reel.
Yeah. Byron from Racine, Wisconsin, which is the city our school's in. I think that's the town he's probably living in. Yeah, so if you see him on there, tell him James said hi. Because I guess he says I'm the one who gave him the idea because I'm the one who started singing the song. But there's a difference between somebody who actually knows the lyrics and the guy who's off key and only repeating the chorus over and over again. Much love, Byron. If you're checking this out, you know I'm just giving you a hard time because you give me a hard time in class too. And one of his nicknames for me is The Walking Dead because I fainted in the class, and he said when I got up I looked like I was a zombie after I fainted. So there's some back and forth, you know, but it's always with love. So whatever. So that was pretty much my week. Was that? Not much to say beyond that. Oh, and I stop at Amazon. Amazon, get Die Ranger out. It came out Tuesday. There's no reason that Amazon buyers should be delayed. I work for Amazon, but still, I'm gonna listen to me. I want my DVD. I pre-ordered it. I've been waiting for Die Ranger official sub since I got into Power Ranger fandom since '93 when I was a kid, probably. Even though I didn't know what the fuck the Japanese footage was. The Thunder Zords, all I know is they were cool. Give it to us. Every other freaking store got their orders yet. We have to wait another 11 days. This is not fair. Give it to me now. That is all.
What have I been up to this week? I haven't been up to much. The weather in my neck of the woods has not been very cooperative. I almost got suffocated by a massive gust of wind today. Other than that, I've actually my eyelid is swelling up. I don't know if you can notice it. I hope you can't. But I've been dealing with that for the past couple of days. But other than that, yeah, just same old boring stuff here in Northeast Ohio. Not really that much interesting stuff to put on the air. But other than that, we will move on to the 3 issues that we're covering tonight. First off, we got Amazing Spider-Man number 652. This is the Revenge of the Spider Slayer story. This is a 3-parter. That is the second. This is the second big story arc in Dan Slott's big time run, his big solo Spider-Man run. Whether or not it's actually
still going on.
Yes, this run is still going on. What is this? 5 years later?
In like 2000, I want to say, I think it's 2010, 2011. Just think about that for a second. 2010, 2011, and it's 2015, and this run is still going on. And according to him in recent interviews, he still has decades worth of ideas, and they're not getting him off the book unless they fire him, according to him. So if you're not a fan of these issues, well, then I guess it's time to quit Spider-Man for the next 20 years.
I mean, you know what? If the guy's having fun, I mean, I don't blame him for not quitting. But yeah, I mean, just for length of run comparison, how long was JMS on the book? Like 6 years? I think JMS was on.
Oh, I think Dan Slott makes the joke that he is now like I think it's an exact quote. I think it's actually accurate that he's like now over a quarter of Spider-Man's history is written by him. I think his master plan is I want when people think Spider-Man, they think me. They don't think Stan Lee. They don't think Michelini. They don't think Roger Stern. They don't think GMS. They think him because he wrote most of the issues.
I'd say that's probably jumping to conclusions, but
it's a joke, John. Calm down.
All right, but yes, this is the 3-part Revenge of the Spider Slayer storyline. This is actually a pretty key moment in Dan Slott's run. And it is also at a time where Peter Parker has just started working at Horizon Labs. He's still dating Carly Cooper. J. Jonah Jameson is still mayor of New York City at this point. He's trying to reconcile with his wife, Marla Jameson, because they'd been having some marital problems, given the fact that she sold the Daily Bugle out from under him right at the beginning of the Brand New Day era, which was also written by Dan Slott. And there's also, just various other subplots going on in here. The budding friendship between Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson and all of that stuff. Also, J. Jonah Jameson Sr. is trying to reconcile with J. Jonah Jameson Jr., his son, and the mayor, and the thorn in Peter Parker's side pretty much since the beginning of Spider-Man's career. And, of course, Max Modell, Peter's boss at Horizon Labs, thinking, there must be some connection between Peter Parker and Spider-Man, but I just can't put my finger on it. It's almost like
give it a few issues, and then the mind block will be away, and then they can figure it out.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's almost like a sorcerer, a stretchy guy, and a guy in a metal suit cast some spell. But I don't know. I just can't put my finger on who.
I think you're wrong, Smythe. I think it was a demonic creature who made a deal with him and his wife. No. That sounds too stupid. That can't be that. I think your idea makes more sense.
Yeah. All right. So So we'll go into the recap. But before we do so, we will give the creative team here. Just let me flip to that page. Dan Slott, writer, Stefano Caselli as artist, Edgar Delgado on colors, VC Joe Caramagna on lettering, assistant editor Ellie Pyle, Donut Slayer Stephen Wacker. I find that funny that Stephen Wacker calls himself a donut slayer. Whatever. All right, James is actually going to give us the rundown of this issue. So, James, go ahead. Why don't you take us through Amazing Spider-Man number 652 here?
Well, this issue begins as every classic Spider-Man storyline should begin. Roller jam. No, I'm not kidding you. It's legitimately a roller derby. Because Carly Cooper is now a member of a roller derby team, if you didn't notice from the last arc. To the point that Aunt May has become that stereotypical mom who gets super over the top, to the point that she's yelling murder to the bums. And this is going on. Peter's talking about how great it is. Mary Jane has a hit TV show and a modeling thing. Oh, Flash and Betty are dating again. I have a job. I'm doing the same inner monologues I've been doing since 1962. Know what that means? Something bad's going to happen. And then you got Mary Jane where she's like, oh, I haven't seen Peter this happy in ages. He finally found the one. But I'm sad because I'm jealous because it's not me. Why is it not me? Well, maybe I do for the last few moments you telling him how great Carly Cooper is compared to you, and the fact that you both laughed at each other when you guys freaking come over together. Okay, I'm not gonna get mad. Calm down here. But literally, this Mary Jane part really kind of like it's completely 180 to what happened the issue before, like the arcs before. Now she's like inner monologuing about how much she wants Peter, and then like it's like, well, why didn't you tell him that instead of telling him to hook up with this chick? But whatever. And then, of course, comic, relief. Carly just happens to go over the rail and bumps into Mary Jane. And then she tells Carly to go get him, Tiger, because now she has to be Mary Jane of the 60s again, who can't fucking talk about her feelings, who has to act like a party girl.
She has to be Kirsten Dunst.
What?
She has to be Kirsten Dunst.
No, opposite of Kirsten Dunst. Because at least Kirsten Dunst showed a little bit of emotion. This is once again Mary Jane inner monologue, thinking something, but then she goes, "You go, girl." Just it's clearly that whatever. Moving on. So yeah, you got that going on, and then you got a New Jersey spaceship, because that made fucking sense in '62, so it makes sense here again. I guess that there's gonna be a spaceship a rocket ship in New Jersey. So you got the Spider Slayers and Smythe and Scorpion, and they're all talking about their plan. Jonah's showing up with his guards. Parker's there because fuck it. Oh yeah, because Horizon Labs is something, I think they build the rocket ship. I can't remember what the exact thing is. And then you got, basically everybody who needs to be in the story just happens to be there if you think about it. That's going on. And then it talks about earlier that night when Peter's with Carly and he's taking her skating and he's acting like the clumsy ditz, like the stereotypical like Clark Kent. Oh, I gotta act like I'm clumsy and stupid in front of my girlfriend so she won't suspect that I'm the superhero. And then as soon as she leaves, he becomes Andrew Garfield on the skateboard, flipping over everything. and doing all these great tricks. And he actually says this cool, badass Spider-Man Peter Parker pose where he's kind of in the shadow and he does the landing and he's like pressing down on the ground. And he almost looks like he's going Super Saiyan with the way his hair is spiked up. That is a badass Peter Parker shot, I gotta admit.
And I gotta say, it's just like, Peter, if you want to hide the fact that you're super athletic and actually have, muscle mass, maybe you shouldn't wear such a tight T-shirt. I mean, it's just an idea I'm going to throw out there.
Well, granted, he kind of got away with it because doesn't in that one issue Powerless in the 90s where I think he outright says that, well, my strength doesn't come from the spider strength. It actually comes from me working out from the web swinging. So if somebody asks me, hey, Parker, how did you get all this muscle mass from high school? He'll just say, oh, I've been exercising since I was 15. Because technically he's not lying. So that was my way of seeing his way out is going, hey, I used to get picked on in high school. I started working out.
He's not really selling the idea that he's not athletic, though. I'm just saying.
Well, anyways, yeah, but why does he need to do this too when he has to freaking, mind block? All she'll think is, oh, Peter can skate. That's literally all Carly would jump to the conclusion right now. Now, you can skate, but whatever. It has to be that stereotypical superhero. I got to pretend to be a klutz just so the girlfriend can't catch on. And as soon as she leaves, she starts flipping. And then once again, you get Mary Jane in the over-the-top freaking 1966. Hey, man, don't have a cow, bro. Yeah, it's so psychedelic, Dad. This is literally what's going on. She's wearing the beatnik hat and coat. She's like doing this pose while she's talking about how great Peter is and how he has nothing to worry about and how great he is with his moves. And then she leaves, starts saying, man, cow, isn't this so great? It's 1962. I'm a beatnik hippie girl that Ramita and Stan Lee used to write about because I have to be that way again. And then Peter and Carly are leaving, and then Carly makes a joke about Mary Jane should be hooked up with one of their friends, and then she mentions Spider-Man, which makes Peter run into a glass door, breaking his nose, because curse that Parker Luck. I'm not kidding you, because that quote from the comic. And cue Parker Luck.
And so we cut to the next day where Peter Parker is at a job site.
And then we cut to the next day where a huge asteroid's heading towards the Earth. So Peter Parker, Bruce Willis, and Brendan Affleck have to walk dramatically. Oh, wait, wrong comic. Literally, that's what it looks like here.
Peter Parker, Bruce Willis.
And then, hey, John, going back from what we reviewed last week, tell me if this sounds familiar. Between the first issue of Brand New Day, the first arc of the new volume, and this. Wow, this reminds me of issue 1 when John Jameson had something going wrong with his rocket and I had to save it. How many fucking times is Slot going to do callbacks to issue 1? They were 2 short stories.
Let's ask the better question of how many times is John Jameson going to get screwed over on a rocket?
Counting this continuity or also counting the other continuities? Because do we count Mary Jane leaving him as the Altair one in Spider-Man 2? As bad luck for him? Okay. Do we count the freaking bringing the Venom symbiote in the animated series?
Yes, because the 90s show, you always count the 90s show.
Did we count the fact that Stan Lee and everybody forgot about him after issue 1 until like issue 50 or whatever it was?
Yeah, let's count that too.
No, wait, let me be fair. I think it's like issue 30 or something because it's around the time of the Green Goblin and Mary Jane's introduction. But whatever, still, it went 30 issues without Jameson never even mentioning he had a son. And even to the point that there was moments where he said Peter was like the son he never had, I think. Which is ironic because, like, didn't you have a son in issue 1? Oh, crap. A few months later, hey, John, welcome back from your space mission. Thanks, Dad. How's it going? I'm going to give you superpowers. Sorry, that was the first John Jameson arc back. It was his dad giving him superpowers and him becoming mad with powers. Which, again, we can count check as things going wrong with John Jameson.
Colonel Jupiter at your service.
Did we count his relationship with She-Hulk going down the drains as part of his career problems?
Have we counted the Man-Wolf also?
Well, we got to count Man-Wolf because he got that stone from outer space. If you count the symbiote, you got to count Man-Wolf.
So we're up to like what, 6 or 7 now?
Let's just say John Jameson has more bad luck than Peter Parker does in these books.
Oh, poor John Jameson.
I mean, Peter, you know what's so bad, fucked up? Back during Marvel Knights, you probably remember this, John. Peter framed him for being Spider-Man.
I do remember that. Yep.
John Jameson died one time in a 90s Spider-Man, version where he falls off a bridge through a portal into another dimension and everybody thought he was dead. And then he came back as a mummy. I'm not making this up. This legitimately happened.
Yep.
Let's just say this. John Jameson, the most fucked up character in comic history.
Oh, poor John Jameson. All right. But anyway, James, what happens next in this issue?
All right. Yeah, his spider sense starts going crazy, and he says like, something's going wrong, and they're all like, "What the fuck's going on here?" And then all of a sudden, of course, the attack starts with him. He's in like mission control, and it's like, Houston, we have a problem because, and then Jameson's like, "Why isn't this going on?" And then they say, "Well, Parker," and then he goes, and then of course, Jameson has to scream Parker, and then, it goes down, and then all these bug-like mechanical people start to attack. Peter dressed up as Spider-Man. He starts fighting them. While he's fighting them, Jonah stops him, and then Spider-Man's like, "Dude, I'm an Avenger now. I got this. Jonah, let it go. Okay, I'm an Avenger. I'm a card-carrying superhero. Dude." And he goes, "Yeah, exactly. You're the only one who can go up on the rocket and save my son." And then Peter's like, "Good point," pretty much. And then he flies up there. Well, not flies, but you know what I mean. What's things? He goes up on the rocket, and then Dan Slott pretty much just almost beat by beat repeats the freaking first issue of Amazing Spider-Man, only now he had a scorpion on top of it. And he goes, "Gargan, the scorpion? We got rules for letting Jameson live. Not you. You can die." Okay. And that ends the issue.
All right, James, what are you thinking of Amazing Spider-Man number 652 there?
It's weird. It's weird because there's some kind of almost inconsistencies with the way people act. Jonah, I won't really count because it's the character development that later goes on to Superior where he's in Spider-Man's corner. So I'm not going to count that. But the Mary Jane thing like pops in my head because this is how bad it is though. That they have her inner monologuing about why is Peter with her? Why is she the one? Why is she the one making her happy? When the last 17 issues since Mary Jane's been back in the book since Brand New Day, she's been every other line. Move on with Carly. I don't want you no more, or whatever. It was always Carly's better for you than me. And now randomly, there's this one page where it say that I still like him, and why is he happy with her? Well, maybe because you told him for like months now how great of a girl Carly is. And then you got the whole she's acting like it's the Ramita Day, like she's in the coffee bean, go-go dancing to the song, dancing in her go-go boots, while Peter, Harry, and Flash are sitting at the coffee bean. That's what it feels like here. They regress the character back because, as we all know, quoted months ago, according to Dan Slott, that's the only way Mary Jane should have been, and giving her character development sucked, and this is clear here. She's dressed up like Doug Funny's sister, for God's sakes, in this issue, who was like the queen of the beatniks in the 90s. Just that part really kind of gets to me. And then the rest of the issue is, let's remake Amazing Spider-Man issue 1, only throw Gargan on top of a rocket ship. That's about it. So I would give it like this, a fun medium, because it's funny, but it's Star Wars Episode 1 or Attack of the Clones funny. It's Plan 9 of Outer Space. It's so bad it's good. So I give it that.
All right. I'll bring up my thoughts on the issue. I actually like this issue. It's probably my favorite of the 3 issues. I'll spoil that right now. One thing I really like about it is Stefano Caselli's artwork along with Edgar Delgado on colors. I really think that the artwork is very attractive on this issue. It's very nice to look at, very easy on the eyes. I particularly think that his Peter Parker and his Mary Jane look actually quite good in this issue, even though
I forgot about that. I want to say that this is some of the best artwork Spider-Man has. I mean, I was kind of upset for a while there if he's not in the issues back in this era, because I always thought, like, why wasn't he the artist of Amazing Spider-Man? Why was Ramos the go-to main artist, and then this guy was almost like the filler for the issues Ramos didn't do? Because this guy art is great. I would love to see an ongoing Spider-Man story that's his artwork. It's beautiful. I love his Peter. I love his Mary Jane. I love the way he draws everybody. I mean, just the the covers alone are beautiful. Like the one right here where, if I can pull it out, where I know people can see it, but where it's Scorpion fighting Spider-Man. That is just like classic. If you go into a store and getting a poster, this is an image you would see. This is classic Spider-Man and Scorpion fighting each other almost, just in his style.
The artwork is absolutely amazing. I mean, I love the artwork in this issue. Other stuff I want to point out here. I'll disagree with James. I didn't mind the rollerblading scene that much. I thought it was fine. Well, that was weird. I don't know what just happened there.
I got a text from somebody. Are you talking about me? I'm getting a text from somebody.
No, sorry, my screen just completely went away. But it came back up. I'll disagree with James. I didn't actually mind the rollerblading scene that much. I thought it was fine. I didn't really have any big problems with it. I can understand Mary Jane kind of having second thoughts about, I kind of actually wanted to be with Peter, and it kind of does irk me.
Well, that one was more of a if I could defend myself for a second, John. I don't mean to interrupt you here, but if I can defend myself for a second, what I meant by that is, I got another text. Be quiet for a second, person. If what I meant was, it just felt like Mary Jane would have never been too afraid to tell Peter, I still have feelings for you, or I don't think she's the one for you. And here she's saying that, and then while she's thinking that, she's saying that old 60s dialogue, which is confirming what Dan Slott said months ago, like right around the time, Renewing Your Vows happened, how Mary Jane sucked after they gave her character development, and she should have always been the party girl who was always excited and hip man, hip son, dad, cool, groovy. And this is what it is in this comic to me. Like, you see Mary Jane in this, after that initial first pages of her saying she still likes Peter and what's he doing with this other girl, it's all 60s Mary Jane party girl.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying there, and I think that is a viewpoint that you can take on it. So I don't disagree with that. I do think that is a valid point that you can make. I guess we'll just kind of agree to have different viewpoints on that. But other stuff I liked in this issue, like I said, I liked rollerblading. I liked Peter and Carly kind of rollerblading together. I thought that was funny. I liked the moment where Jonah Jameson is freaking out about John going up on the shuttle, and I believe it's Max Modell. Oh, we're gonna bring in Peter Parker. You know him, Jonah. Did you hear that? Peter's gonna be brought in on this. Does that make you feel better? Maybe, but if you tell Parker I said that, you're fired. I like that moment because it's just like, deep down, Jonah Jameson does appreciate Peter Parker. He just doesn't know how to show it, and he has no clue that he doesn't know how to show it. So I think that's a good moment for Jonah. The one thing I didn't like about this issue, it actually pertains to Alistair Smythe. Yeah, Smythe was not nearly as cool in this issue as he used to be. At least I think he used to be. Okay,
when you say when he used to be, are you talking about the animated series or actually talking about in the comics? Because in the comics, there was a period where he thought Mary Jane was Spider-Man.
I guess we'll talk about the animated series, but, I used to be able to read a Spider-Man comic. Like, when we did the wedding issues several months ago, I read those comics, and I could hear I could hear the animated series Alistair Smythe voice in my head, and it was badass. But now when I read this comic, I can't hear that voice. It's just a generic.
I can, but I just imagine the more kind of cybernetic computer version of it.
All I hear is this whiny, squeaky, like really high-pitched voice, and I don't know. It's just like Smythe isn't cool anymore in this comic, and it's disappointing. I like Smythe being cool. All right, but overall, I do give this issue a thumbs up. I thought it was a pretty solid first part of the story. Like James said, I also like the moment where Spider-Man's like, "I'm a card-carrying Avenger. You can trust me." Yeah? Well, then as your mayor, I'm ordering you to go save my son because you're the only one who can do it. I do agree with that. I think that's a good point for this issue. Other than that,
go along with your Jonah thing. It's another image of, about your Jonah thing earlier about the don't tell Parker I said that. This is almost like the game with Spider-Man. How he begrudgingly has to admit, you're the only one who can save my son. Because Peter, he grabs him, and Peter's first thought is, like you said, I'm an Avenger now. I'm one of the heroes who, when kids wear T-shirts, that's me. I'm a hero. You can't tell me stop doing this when this is literally my job. And he's like, yeah, it is your job, and I'm your mayor. Go save my son. I love that.
Yeah, it is a nice moment. So I give this issue a thumbs up. I don't really have many bad things to say about it. So we'll move on to Amazing Spider-Man number 653. We got the same creative team on this one. Part 2 of the story. Jonah Jameson, Jonah Jameson Sr., and Glory Grant are all in the mayor's motorcade, and they're being attacked by Smythe's little insect brigade or whatever. Meanwhile, Spider-Man is hanging on for dear life to the side of the shuttle while the Scorpion is attacking him. And inside the shuttle, John Jameson cannot get control of anything. Hate to say it, Dale, but this one's out of our hands. So Spider-Man is trying to think of a way to get the two co-pilots back in control of the shuttle. And he said, but I can't do this alone. I need help. And so what does he do? He calls Avengers Mansion. And he actually manages to talk to Squirrel Girl, but she is feeding Danny Cage at the moment. And the Avengers are off on some mission. So she's going to have to ask him to hold. But Spider-Man's like, God, I'm on a rocket over New Jersey. In a minute, I'll be out of oxygen. Put someone on. Easy there, mister. There's always time for manners. Now let's try that again with your indoor voice. Spidey, hello? I am so screwed. So moving on from that, Max Modell and whatever the other guy's name is, they go back into the control center to try to get John Jameson and his co-pilot back in control of the shuttle. Spider-Man says, wait, I don't need the Avengers when Hulk Jr. here can help out. How are you walking like that at these G's? You've been working out, Mac? And he manages to persuade Gargan to come on over, and he accidentally rips the control panel out, which is exactly what Spider-Man wanted. Well, actually, he doesn't rip the control panel out, but he does something that harms the booster's fuel intake. So that kicks in the emergency comm system, and that gives communication leeway between John Jameson and the command center. Meanwhile, at a location unknown, Dr. Otto Octavius is saying, this is completely unacceptable. If the Vertex shuttle fails to dock with the Horizon's orbital platform, I shall never complete the octahedral in time, and I refuse to have the unresolved Oedipal issues of that mewling narcissist Smythe jeopardize my one last masterpiece. Spider Slayer? Ha! He's not even half the plotter his father was. I calculate an 88.7% probability he was adopted. Yes, because that is the worst burn that Otto Octavius can think of. So they managed to disconnect the rocket, and everything's fine. John Jameson and his co-pilot survive, as do Spider-Man and the Scorpion. But just as Spider-Man is plummeting to Earth, Scorpion grabs a hold of him. But what do you know? Marvel or Ms. Marvel manages to catch Spider-Man in midair, and they get back down to the ground safely, and they take on the insect brigade that Smythe has attacking the mayor's motorcade. And along with Ms. Marvel also show up Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Power Woman. And there's a nice line from Jonah Jameson at this point in the issue. I have to say, I want real Avengers, gods, guys in metal suits, men wearing flags. Instead, you bring me a pair of mercenaries and a former reporter? What's wrong with reporters? You used to run a newspaper. You ever eaten with one? I thought that was funny. That made me chuckle.
He's still mad at Carol Danvers for going women lib on him with Now magazine. I just love that.
I also love he's like, where's Steve Rogers? Where's Tony Stark? I love he's like, these guys aren't the real Avengers.
My God. I just noticed something. 3 people in this scene have been hired by J. Jonah Jameson at one point in time. Jessica Jones during the whole Pulse days, Carol Danvers, and Peter Parker. Jonah does not know that the 3 people saving his life used to be on his payroll.
Yep, that's the ultimate J. Jonah Jameson.
And he hired Luke Cage in the issue after a freaking Gwen died to get revenge on Norman Osborn's death. Oh my God, there's 4 people in this comic he has hired before.
Iron Fist, it's coming up on you, man. All right. So meanwhile, Marla Jameson and May Parker Jameson are relaxing at a spa, and more of Smythe's insect brigade come and attack that day spot in order to get to Marla Jameson and May Parker. Meanwhile, at the same time, other insect people attack the offices of the New Daily Bugle to get at Robbie Robertson, Jonah's best friend. So while all of this is going on, they realize, hey, why are these guys dodging our attacks so easily? They have a spider sense. That's right. Smythe has replicated Peter Parker's spider sense and given it to all of his insect people. So Spider-Man decides, okay, I need to develop some sort of spider sense jammer so that I can stop these guys. So Peter Parker swings back to Horizon Labs in a hurry, but just as he's about to pull a quick MacGyver build and slip out with no one the wiser, Mr. Parker, Max, I believe it's high past time the two of us had a little talk about you and Spider-Man. Dun, dun, dun. And that is Amazing Spider-Man number 653 for you. I'll go into my general thoughts on this issue. I didn't enjoy this issue as much as the previous one. It does kind of annoy me that Spider-Man's first instinct when he gets into trouble is, oh, hey, I'll call the Avengers. That annoys me a little bit, especially when legitimately about 2 pages later, he's like, oh, wait a minute, I don't need the Avengers at all. I can just get Dumbo over here to help me out. Yeah, that kind of annoyed me a little bit. And plus, it's just like, this is a Spider-Man comic. It's not a Marvel team-up comic. I'm okay with seeing the Avengers every once in a while, but, I mean, we just saw the Avengers a few issues ago with the first story arc. And even though this is a different set of Avengers, there's no Iron Man or anything, yeah, I don't need to see Spider-Man teaming up with other heroes 2 stories in a row. So that was a little bit of a con for me. Something I did like about this issue, once again, the artwork is fantastic. I like seeing the Daily Bugle back again. I like seeing Robbie. I like seeing Randy and all of them. Just because I think this is more telling about the current era of Spider-Man here in 2015. But I do kind of miss those characters. We don't really see them very much. And, Robbie's one of my all-time favorite Spider-Man supporting characters. And it does hurt when I don't see him. So anytime I can see him in a comic book, especially in this little area here, it's always nice to see. I did like that. I did like the moment, like I said, with I did like the moment with J. Jonah Jameson and the quote unquote fake Avengers. He didn't actually say that, but I know that's what he was thinking. I did like that moment. I also do like the cliffhanger at the end because it's classic Spider-Man. It's what you'd expect from the end of a Spider-Man issue. Someone thinks they know his secret identity, and he's like, "Oh crap!" That's what you'd expect. And plus, I also like the moment where Spider-Man calls the Avengers Mansion, and Squirrel Girl is just like mouthing off to him. There's always time for inside voice. Now let's try it again, and he just hangs up the phone. I am so screwed. I thought that was funny. That made me smile.
It's basically Peter getting a taste of his own medicine. That here's a different teenage superhero quipping and making jokes at his expense. Where in the 60s, if he was in a team with the Avengers, that would be him.
Yeah, so I did like that. But overall, I give this issue probably a thumb sideways. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. I've read a lot better Spider-Man. I've read stuff that I've liked less than this. Not an offensive issue by any means, but also not the best. So I'll give it a thumb sideways. James, what are you thinking of Amazing Spider-Man number 653 here?
It's a good issue. There's a lot of action in it. The bomb part, kind of concludes here. The Squirrel Girl part, like I said, I already kind of said my point, and I love it because it's basically Peter getting a taste of his own medicine. Because he's basically, here's a teenage hero quipping at him and you could see Peter doing that like Captain America on like some futuristic phone in like a 60s. Like, we got to call Spider-Man, even though he's not an Avenger. We need all the Marvel heroes to help us with this. And Spider-Man like, come on, say what matters, Cap. Hey, I got a hot date tonight after my biology exam. So either you tell me that what matters, or I won't stop Galactus from eating the Earth. Okay, bye. You can see him doing something like that to them. And so it's kind of like, he's getting a taste of his own medicine. And so I like that part of it. I like the whole part where Peter's like, Gargan, you're a freaking moron here. Because when Gargan grabs a hold of him, he's like, we're going to both die. And then Gargan has the whole, nope, because my suit protects me somehow. But then Miss Marvel's like, well, then does this hurt? Boom! Yeah, and I like the Avengers line because it's just so hilarious because it makes you realize that, oh my god, everybody on that Avenger team but Ben Grimm and Luke and well, not Luke Cage, Iron Fist. Everybody, Ben Grimm, Iron Fist, Danny Rand, they have all been. They're the only ones who haven't been hired by J. Jonah Jameson at one point or another. 3 of them were legit, hiring them as employees. One time was hiring them as basically a hitman to beat the shit out of Spider-Man. And I like that. And the big bad Beetleborgs is what I'm calling the people who are attacking Jonah's loved one.
That's clever. That's a clever name, James. Let's go with that. The big bad Beetleborgs.
They look like them.
Wiki that. Marvel database. Let's wiki that. Big bad Beetleborgs. That's what they're called.
Big bad Beetleborgs. Metallics. Big bad Beetleborgs. Power Ranger spin-off for people who don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, this is I like the part with the bugle part, and I'm surprised, John, with your love with Jason Philip freaking McIndale from the anime series, you miss the line that refers to Jason Philip McIndale, where
what? I missed Jason Philip McIndale? Where was this?
Look at the line that Phil Urich says. He goes, "Trust me, there is no profit in my own annihilation."
Oh yeah, trust me, there's just no profit in it. Oh, how did I miss that?
When I read that today, I forgot about that line, and I said, John's going to immediately jump into a Jason Philip McIndale. And when you skipped over that part of the comic, I was sad. Like, how did he miss that?
Sorry, but there's no profit to be made in my own annihilation.
And then you got, once he gets to the realization that that's because of Spider Sense, he immediately starts remembering issue 1 again, because we needed one more callback in these first 5 issues of Big Time of him referencing issue 1.
Not only issue 1, but he also references issue 5 here with Doc Doom.
But if you go by John Byrne's retcon, issue 1 is a prologue to issue 5 because you find out the Chameleon's working for Doom. So technically it all counts as an issue 1 reference.
Yes,
and I know I'm counting it. I know it's chapter 1, but fuck it, I'm counting it just to continue with my point of my joke. And then I love the big bad Beetleborgs fighting the Avengers. And then the Modell thing where Peter, why is he shocked about this? Again, he knows about the mind block. Why is he shocked when somebody says, "Hey, I want to talk to you about you and Spider-Man"? Why is he like, "Oh my God, did they know?" No, you know they don't know.
All right, James. What do you give this issue for a thumb rating? Up, down?
A thumbs up. This is actually a pretty good issue.
All right.
Most of that's for the Jason Phillips McIndale reference.
Oh man, I can't believe that went over my head. Jason Philip McIndale, the best villain in Spider-Man history. Okay. Amazing Spider-Man number 654. We got the same creative team again. John Jameson finally gets to Horizon Labs orbital space platform, and he says, we got to fill her up again. I got to get right back to Earth. I got to save my father. No, you got heavy damage to the seal of Vertex's starboard hatch. Sure, it happened during the bug fight. We don't spend the next 12 hours fixing it. You'll blow up like a space pinata on re-entry. Great. Then their only hope is Spider-Man, Peter. I know about you and him. Yes, it cuts right into a scene at Horizon Labs of Max Modell confronting Peter Parker about his connection to Spider-Man. It leads me to the only logical conclusion. Spider-Man hires you to build his weaponry and tech. After all, it's strange credulity. Whatever.
His face, where he's like, my boss is a dumbass. If you look at his face in that panel.
After all, it's strange credulity. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I sound like the dumbass right now. It's
credulity, because he's not getting credit for his inventions. Spider-Man claims he.
Oh my gosh! I just noticed something in the background of the panel.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you don't mention that, John, I'm gonna come to Ohio and slap you across the face. How do you miss that clear as day musical reference?
I didn't even notice that. I just noticed that in the background of the panel right now. I'm sorry, it's been a long day.
For those that don't got the comic in front of them and are not viewing this but listening to this on the podcast audio feed, in the background, the poster on Modell's wall is for Spider-Man Turn On the Night, the Spider-Man musical.
Yeah, Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, the Spider-Man musical. There's a poster for it in the background that I didn't notice until literally right now. But Max Modell says that it's just unthinkable that one man could possess both amazing spider powers and the scientific acumen to invent devices like his web shooters. You got me, Max. Frankly, I'm relieved I finally have somebody to confide in. Woo! It's just like that's typical Spider-Man.
At least it's better than the conclusion Harry Osborn jumped into in the issue with the Multiman, where he explains where the fuck he's been all this time. Where he's like, Spider-Man, there's only one reason you could be here when Peter Parker's here. He called you, didn't he?
So they whip up some spider sense jammers, and Spider-Man says that he has to plant them at 3 different locations. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. He has to bust out the mad science side by side with 3-time Nobel laureate Max Modell. So he has to plant his insect sense fryer and then detonate it remotely with this thing so as to not get hoisted on my own petard. So he calls Ben Grimm, and Ben Grimm is kind of on his last legs. You know, he's been fighting the big bad Beetleborg so much that, you know, he's starting to go down. And so what happens? Well, perhaps I can use my own Spider Slayer knowledge to help him. Why? Whatever do you mean, Marla?
Oh God.
I guess I never told you, May. I met Jonah when he hired me to develop a new line of Slayer bots. And if I can salvage some tech from this automated mandroid, I might be able to counteract the latest model.
Dan Slott, I got nerd credit because literally, when I first got Marvel Unlimited, I'm reading through his She-Hulk run that he did. His She-Hulk run's great. I like that She-Hulk run. That first volume and the parts that he did in the second volume are really good. Until you get to the part when she's dating John Jameson, and then they're at the family dinner, and then Jonah's like, "I hate Spider-Man," and it's kind of awkward because, you know, she's an Avenger and a superhero too. And then she asks, "Well, how did you two meet?" "Well, he paid me to kill Spider-Man with Spider Slayers." And then okay, the joke was okay there in She-Hulk, but the joke continues even past death for Marla Madison. That she appears as a freaking Force ghost to Peter Parker and will go, "I invented Spider Slayers."
All right, so Robbie Robertson is trying to get everyone out of the Daily Bugle, and he actually goes up to the Avengers and says, "I know how to get these guys out of here. You need to get me away from here because they're after me." So they actually do that. Meanwhile, Spider-Man swings through the Flatiron building because it's equidistant from all of the locations where the big bad Beetleborgs are attacking. I'll dump this device off here, then swing outside its area of effect before you can say, "Holy triangulation." All right. Quick note, that also make this the perfect spot to coordinate all the attacks. "Hi, Smythe. How's it going?" I love that moment. He's just like, "Oh, crap. This is probably where Smythe is going to be stationed as well." "Oh, hey, Smythe. How's the weather up there?" I laughed out loud at that moment. I thought that was funny. So Smythe unleashes.
Doesn't actually say that too. The quip is only in his head.
Yeah, it's like he just looks up. He's like, "Oh, hey, Smythe, how's it going?" "Oh, wait, he can't hear me." So Smythe unleashes the Scorpion. Meanwhile, Marla Jameson manages to distract the big bad Beetleborgs that are in the day spa long enough for Ben Grimm to take them out. The Scorpion manages to damage Spider-Man's remote detonator for the Spider-Sense jammer, so he has no choice but to set it off right there and then. So it manages to injure and pretty much disable all the big bad Beetleborgs around the city, but it has no effect on Smythe himself. So Smythe busts out of the jet that he was in, and in doing so, a piece of debris hurls at Spider-Man's head. And Spider-Man, "I never saw that coming. My Spider-Sense, it's gone." No shit, Sherlock. That's kind of what your invention was for, right? I think
he thought he planned it so that way it would only affect them and not him. And then for whatever reason, it fucked up and it affected him. So that's why he's shocked. He's like, "It shouldn't have affected me. It should only be programmed to affect them."
Anyway, Jameson is under attack by Smythe, but Marla comes in and pushes him out of the way, taking the hit. Spider-Man jumps in, attacks Smythe, and Marla says, "Don't waste any more of your life on hate. I love..." And you see Jameson crying, and Spider-Man comes up and says, "Jonah, I'm not going to say it. What? This is all your fault, Spider-Man, because I know this is my fault. My fault. All mine."
then
And that's
Marla
the end of the issue.
And then Marla wakes up again and goes, P.S. I am into Spider Slayers.
All right, James. James, we'll let you go first with your thoughts. What are you thinking of Amazing Spider-Man 654? And what the heck? Why don't you give us your whole, your general arc thoughts for this story? What do you think of not only this issue, but this story in general?
I'm not going to continue on about the Modell thing about, he's coming to dumb conclusions, because at least now it makes sense, because this is a year or so after they actually finally explained the whole psychic mind block. So it's okay here, where before with other people, it was almost like, well, explain to us that there's a mind block. That way all these characters don't look like dumbasses. And so here I don't really care about it. It's just a funny joke, whatever. I was going to slap John if he didn't notice the Turn on the Dark, poster. I'm surprised John didn't mention the other big Phil Urich moment in the Bugle, where he punches the wall so that way it'll fall on Robbie, because he wants to
it'll fall on Randy.
Randy, I meant. He did it so that way it'll fall on Randy, so that way he would die, and then he would end up with Nora Winters. Which is actually, I'm so mad about this, because when I went to my comic shop, I didn't realize that my comic had this. Some weird stain that goes up and down the middle of the comic, and it's ink stain from whenever it was printed from Marvel.
I'm trying to see it. I guess it's just maybe my screen quality, but I don't see it, James. I'm sorry.
You don't notice that big blob that goes all the way down the comic?
Oh, see, you're in a little screen down here, and that was off the screen at the time, so I couldn't see it. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So you got that. Then you got the conclusion where it's, I kind of like, I want to say that, okay, they already modded the animated series issue before, and I think using the Flatiron building is obviously an homage to the Bugle being there in the Raimi trilogy, I think. Like, that's why it's the perfect spot, because it was the Bugle in the movies at the time. So I like that. The Big Bad Beetleborgs, being taken out by the symbol, just working just in time is, great. And you got Spider-Man's, I don't got my spider sense no more, which literally almost has no effect on him from this point on until he gets it back, which is, I think, Spider Island, because their go-to thing is, because everybody in New York got spider powers, Spider-Man got the powers, he lost too. Make sense? Okay, go on, moving on. So you have that. Then you have the Marla death scene, which is, it's okay. And, she tells Jonah not to hate, but as we all know, that's Jonah, so he's not going to. Like, his dying wife's words, and he doesn't listen to them, is kind of weird, but at the same time, it's totally Jameson. But this is a landmark moment. This is only one of two people who have died that Jonah has not blamed it on Spider-Man.
The other one being Ned Leeds.
The other one's Ned. And the Ned one's hilarious, because just like the issue later when Peter again blames himself even though Jonah doesn't, it's the same thing there. Oh, I can't blame Spider-Man. Spider-Man's in New York. Ned died in Germany. It couldn't be Spider-Man. Right as I going on Peter's pop balloon, it's like, it's all my fault that Ned's dead.
That's just classic Peter Parker, though. That's part of the reason why we love the guy. All right, James, but any other thoughts on Amazing Spider-Man number 654 and this arc in general?
It's a good arc. I mostly, when you get past the first issue, which has its ups and downs with me, it's pretty good. I really enjoy it. There's good action. The quips. There's some funny moments. It's like Planet in Outer Space, like almost like when we reviewed that Spectacular issue where it took way too fucking long for us to review. Basically, there's some elements of that into it. And to me, that's a good Spider-Man comic, or a good Marvel comic, is when you got that cheese. It's one reason I like Power Rangers. It's that cheese where even you as a fan can laugh at how dumb and stupid it is.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's just like
full nitpicking and everything. You're admitting it's bad, but it's bad, it's good kind of thing, where you love it that it's so cheesy and whatnot.
It's like, don't be afraid to have fun with what you're doing, guys. It's a fun comic. Don't be afraid to have fun with it.
It's the Amazing Spider-Man. It's not Daredevil.
Yeah, Spider-Man should never be what Daredevil is. At least I don't think so.
Hell, I would argue I only think Daredevil should be the way Daredevil is. because since Frank Miller in the 80s, he has to be grim, dark, Marvel's Batman. And Mark Waid run was brilliant because it had those dark elements still in the character, but at the same time, he was back to being that Stan Lee cheesy superhero again. And now you got, post Secret Wars, Wade's off the book, and again, he's grim, dark, in Hell's Kitchen, and everybody he knows is dying. But that's that's a topic for a Daredevil podcast.
All right, so James.
And as a final review, I would like to say that I reread the Venom tie-in that happened in this, and it's a pretty good, well done thing about explaining Flash becoming Venom and the whole fear about if the government's controlling the symbiote, but if it loses control, it will basically become the Venom we all know and love with tongue and stuff like that. And I kind of like that how it starts the Venom that's now even going on in the comics, how it's still Flash's thing.
All right, so you give it up a thumbs, or you give it a thumbs up, sideways, or down?
I give this one a thumbs up, and I give the full run a thumbs up because I had 2 thumbs up out of 1 thumbs sideways, so it's got to be a thumbs up for the whole issue.
All right, I'll say I also liked Amazing Spider-Man 654. I liked it quite a bit. At the beginning with Max Modell, it's Spider-Man cheese. It's just like, is this what you love out of Spider-Man comics? And plus, with the psychic mind block in place, we know now why it's happening. I do like the Spider-Man turn off the dark poster that I just noticed. I do like that in the background. I really love the moment. I made the joke, but it's just like, hey, this would also be the perfect spot for Smythe to coordinate his attacks from. Oh, hi, Smythe! I really like that moment. I thought that was hilarious. I also like the Flatiron Building just being used at all in this issue. The Spider-Sense Jammer, it's a cool little doohickey for Spider-Man to build. And I kind of like at the end of the issue where Spider-Man doesn't have a spider sense. I think it's an interesting plot that obviously it doesn't go on forever, and I don't think I would ever really want to see it go on forever. But I think it's an interesting turn of events for Spider.
It's mentioned in like a backup building up to Spider Island where he's training in martial arts to be like an instinct from the cope without spider sense. But besides that, it's hardly ever mentioned in the book that he doesn't have spider sense anymore.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting turn of events to take the spider sense away from him. But other than that, the end scene with Marla Jameson, I think it's pretty well done. I think it's pretty powerful. Obviously, Jonah is not going to listen to that, but that's just Jonah. I do like the moment where he says, this is my fault, all mine. I know it. And, I thought that was a good moment. And I also thought that the artwork in that specific moment was particularly strong. Caselli and Delgado have been pretty consistently good throughout these 3 issues, and I thought that scene was a particular highlight. So overall, I give this final issue a thumbs up. I give this arc in general a thumbs up. I thought it was a pretty solid story. I think it's an enjoyable read. I'd recommend it if you're a Spider-Man fan. And overall, I don't really have much else to say on it. So, James, this is going to conclude our review for this episode. So, any final words for the listeners before we sign off?
Not much. I think we said everything we wanted to say. Shout out to Jason Philip McIndale because I'm going to hold it over John that he did not catch that reference. How do you not read that comic, get to that panel, and not immediately think there's no profit to be made in my own annihilation? That's immediately what I heard when I read that panel.
I guess I just wasn't thinking it.
I read that in 2011, the first time I read this story.
I'm a bad Hobgoblin fan.
All right. Yeah, there's not much to say. Not really much shout-outs because I think all my shout-outs I've already said. So, shout out to Dr. Pepper because I'm drinking a Dr. Pepper. Oh, and my new Apex TVs because I got a brand new TV. That's pretty badass. As I brought up last week, I wanted to give a shout out to the company that made the TV, so shout out to Apex.
All right, my shout outs this week: Marvel, Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, Dan Slott, Stefano Caselli, all of them. Thank you for Spider-Man. Thank you for the comics we reviewed this week. Other shout out this past Wednesday was Veterans Day, so shout out to all our veterans. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, shout out to you guys. Shout out to my grandpa who's a veteran and every other veteran around the country.
Other than that, the shout out we gave at the beginning of the show, we echo it still here. I don't really think there's much else to say. I don't really have any. I don't really have any other major shout outs this week. At least not that I can think of at this moment. So I guess that's going to do it for this episode of Spider-Man's Tangled Web Show. Thank you for all you guys who are tuning in. Thank you for everyone who's going to, maybe watch this in the future. And so hope to see you guys next week. Take care. Be kind to each other. And just overall have a good life, people. So see you guys next week. Au revoir.